All right, let's get on with the class today. So we're in chapter 3. Like I told you, everyone needs to go and do their assignment. You need to do all your SSC assignment and get back to me. Sorry, all your labs. Okay. So we're talking about protecting your computer devices. All right. How do you protect your computer devices? Your computing devices store your data and are the portal to your online life. Okay, so below is a short list of steps you can take to protect your computing devices from instructions. All right, so first thing, you need to keep the firewall on. Make sure your computer, your laptops, your device's firewall is on. Whether it is a software firewall or a hardware firewall on a router, the firewall should be turned on and updated to prevent hackers from accessing your personal or company data. So you can check on Windows 7 or Windows 10 to turn on firewall in the respective version of your Windows. Okay. Then the next one is use antivirus and anti-spyware. Anti-spyware and antivirus is important. For malicious software such as viruses, Trojan horses, worms, ransomware, and spyware are installed on your computer devices without your permission in order to gain access to your computer and your data. So viruses can destroy your data, slow down your computer, or take over your computer. So one way viruses can take over your computer is by allowing spammers to broadcast emails using your account spyware. Okay, using your account. So spyware can monitor your online activities, collect your personal information, or produce unwanted pop-up adverts on your web browser while you are online. So a good rule is to only download software from trusted websites, okay, to avoid getting spyware in the first place. So antivirus software is designed to scan your computer and incoming email for viruses and delete them. So sometimes antivirus software also includes anti-spyware. So keep your software up to date to protect your computer from the newest malicious software. So how do you manage your operating system and browsers? Hackers are always trying to take advantage of vulnerabilities in your operating system and your web browser. So to protect your computer and your data, set the security settings on your computer and browsers of medium or higher. Okay, so update your computer's operating system, including your web browsers, and regular download and install the latest software patches and security updates from the vendors. So how do you protect all your devices? Your computer devices, whether they are PCs, laptops, tablets, or smartphones, should be password protected to prevent unauthorized access. So the stored information should be encrypted. Very, very important. So especially for sensitive or confidential data, for mobile devices, only store necessary information in case these devices are stolen or lost. When you are away from your home, if any one of your devices is compromised, the criminals may have access to all your data through your cloud storage service provider, such as iCloud or Google Drive. Those are risky things. So IoT devices pose an even greater risk than your other computing devices. So while desktop, laptop, and mobile platforms receive frequent software updates, most of the IoT devices still have their original firmware. Okay, so if vulnerabilities are found in the firmware, the IoT device is likely to stay vulnerable. To make the problem worse, IoT devices are often designed to call home and require internet access. Okay, so to reach the internet, most IoT devices manufacturers rely on the customer's local network. So the result is that IoT devices are very likely to be compromised, and when they allow access to the customer's local network and data. The best way to protect yourself from this scenario is to have IoT devices using an isolated network, sharing it only with other IoT devices. All right. So how do we use wireless network safely? Wireless network allow Wi-Fi enabled devices such as laptops and tablets to connect to the network by way of the network identifier known as the service set identifier. Okay, so to prevent intruders from entering your home wireless network, the preset SSID and default password for the browser-based administrative interface should be changed. So hackers will be aware of this kind of default access information. Optionally, the wireless router can also be configured to not broadcast the SSID, which adds an additional barrier to discovering the network. So, however, this should not be considered adequate security for a wireless network. Furthermore, you should encrypt wireless communication by enabling wireless security and the WPA2 encryption feature on the wireless router. Even with WPA2 encryption enabled, the wireless network can still be vulnerable. Okay, so in October 2017, a security flaw in the WPA protocol was discovered. This flaw allows an intruder to break the encryption between the wireless router and the wireless client. So, and allow the intruder to access and manipulate the network traffic. So this vulnerability can be exploited using key reinstallation attacks like crack. All right. So it affects all modern protected Wi-Fi networks to mitigate an attacker. So a user should update all affected products, all affected products such as wireless routers and any wireless capable devices such as laptops and mobile devices. Okay, as soon as security updates become available. So for laptops or other devices with wired NIC, a wired connection could mitigate this vulnerability. Furthermore, okay, you can also use a trusted VPN services to prevent the unauthorized access to your data while you are using the wireless network. Okay, so when you are away from home, there's what we call a public Wi-Fi hotspot. Public Wi-Fi hotspot allows you to access your online information and surf the internet. However, it is best to not access or send any sensitive personal information over a public wireless network, because verify whether your computer is configured with file and media sharing and that it requires user authentication with encryption to prevent someone from intercepting your information, okay? Known as, they call it eavesdropping. So while using a public wireless network, use encrypted VPN tunnels and services, all right? So the VPN services provide you secure access to the internet, while an encrypted connection between your computer and the VPN services provides VPN server. With an encrypted VPN tunnel, even if a data transmission is intercepted, okay? So it is not disferiable, all right? So many mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets come with Bluetooth wireless protocols. This capability allows Bluetooth-enabled devices to connect to each other and share information. So unfortunately, Bluetooth can be exploited by hackers to eavesdrop on some devices. So You need to establish what we call remote controls, distribute malware, and drain batteries. So to avoid these issues, keep Bluetooth turned off when you are not using it, all right? So they don't access your system. So we are still on protecting your devices and network. What are the things you need to do to protect? You use unique password for each online account. You use unique password for each online account. So you probably have more than one online account, and each account should have a unique password. That is a lot of password to remember. However, the consequences of not using strong and unique password leaves you and your data vulnerable to cyber criminals. Using the same password for all your online accounts, like using the same key for all your locked doors. So if an attacker was to get your key, he would have the ability to access everything you own. If criminals get your password through phishing, for example, they will try to get your key. You would have the ability to access everything you own. If criminals get your password through the phishing, for example, they will try to get into your other online accounts. So if you only use one password for all accounts, they can get into all your accounts, steal or erase all your accounts. Okay? So it is important to protect your account by having a good password. So we use so many online accounts that need passwords that is becoming too much to remember. So one solution to avoid reusing passwords or using weak password is to use a password manager. Is to use the password manager. Sorry, is to use the password manager. Okay. Is to use the password manager. A password manager stores and encrypts all of your different and complex passwords. So the manager can then help you to log into your online account automatically. You only need to remember your master password to access the password. Okay. So a password manager can manage all your accounts and password for you. So what are the tips for choosing a good password? One, do not use dictionary words or names in any language. Do not use common misspellings of dictionary words. Do not use computer names or account names. If possible, use special characters such as the exclamation, the heart sign, the hash sign, the dollar sign, the percentage sign, greater than, smaller sign. Okay, so and also make sure you use a password with 10 or more characters. Okay, so how do you use passphrase? How do you use passphrase rather than a password? To prevent unauthorized physical access to computing devices, use passphrases rather than passwords. It is easier to create a long passphrase than a password because it is generally in the form of a sentence rather than a word. The longer length makes passphrases less vulnerable to dictionary or brute force attacks. Furthermore, a passphrase may be easier to remember, especially if you are required to change your password frequently. Here are some tips in choosing good passwords or passphrases. One, choose a meaningful statement to you. Add special characters such as exclamation, at, hash, dollar sign. Okay, then the longer the better. Avoid common or famous statements. For example, lyrics from a popular song. Recently, United States National Institute for Standards and Technology published what we call improved password requirement. So an NIST standard are intended for government applications, but can also serve as a standard for others as well. So the new guidelines aim to provide better user experience and put the burden of user verification on the providers. So how do you handle or how do you create a good passphrase? First, the 8 characters will be minimum in length, but no more than 64 characters. No common, easily guessed password, such as password ABC 123. All right. No composition rules, such as having to include lowercase and uppercase letters and numbers. Improve typing accuracy by allowing the user to see the password by typing. Then, all printing characters and spaces are allowed. No password hint, no periodical or arbitrary password expiration. No knowledge-based authentication, such as information from shared secret questions, marketing data, transaction history. Okay, so click for you to learn more. You can click on the link when you log in. Even with access to your computers and network devices secured, it is also important to protect and preserve your data. Okay. So you can actually go through the lab, all right? Go through this lab, create, store strong passwords, okay? So you click the lab and do your lab. Very, very important. Click and do what? And do your lab. So like I told you how the lab works. Once you click, just following the objectives of this lab is to understand the concept behind a strong password, okay? Then how to just follow what is required. You have resources, you have creating a strong password. Follow the steps, and when you follow the steps, you try it. Then at the end of the class, they will ask you a question. To answer the question, please, all labs will be submitted soonest. I'm going to give you the link where you're going to submit all your labs. Okay, very, very important. So try and go through this. Okay, and also your group, get into your group. I notice most of you are not going into your group to do your practicals. So get into your groups to do your practicals. Thank you very much. So in our next class, we'll be touching encrypting your data.